Easter year. Now I want to speak about Rabbi Yisrael Darzi, Zechet Tzadik Livracha, a great rabbi of his time, a rabbi in an area in Jerusalem called Ramat Shlomo. He happens to have been the son of another great rabbi who we've spoken about on various occasions, for Rabbi Shmuel Darzi, who actually, Rabbi Shmuel Darzi's Hilula is actually marked this week. It was just 2 days before Hanukkah on the 23rd Kislev. So I thought it's an opportune time to speak about his son, Rabbi Yisrael Darzi, very, very good rabbi, great rabbi of Ramat Shlomo, of the Brechfeld's neighborhoods in of itself, and opportune time to speak about him. I believe he passed away, if I'm not mistaken, quite recently, in just under a year ago. I think it was around the same month, around Purim time period in Adar. And so it happened because we already recorded a video with regards to Rav Shmuel Darzi, I believe about a year ago nearly, on the 23rd of Kislev. I thought it's a good opportune time to definitely speak about the great rabbi's son over here. Estates titled on various places, it was chronicled over and headlined Hatzadik Rabbi Yisrael Darzi Zechet Tzadik Livracha Ramat Shlomo בשנים האחרונות בברכפלד שהלך לעולמו לאחר שהזדחך בייסורים והוא בן 66. So sadly he passed away. He was 66 years of age. I think he did suffer before he passed away health-wise. היה בנו של המקובל רבי שמואל דרזי זכר צדיק קדוש לברכה, the great rabbi we're speaking about today, who was a Rosh Yeshiva of the Yeshivat Mukubalim called Niot Baramat, if I'm not mistaken, in Jerusalem. I think a place we have mentioned about on several occasions before, which I very much recommend everyone to learn more within regards to that. I think it's a neighborhood in itself, and that's where this actual prominent yeshiva or Torah studying center is actually situated in itself. Now we're going to speak a bit about his father in the coming minutes, but I believe he passed away. It was in March time in 2025, and was described as a Gaon, a genius. And he came from great rabbinic auspices. His father was very, very prominent rabbi. So a rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. Let's speak about his father. 23rd of Kislev would have marked the Hilula of Rabbi Shmuel Darzi. He was actually the son of Rabbi Yitzchak, I believe, and Rabbanit Simcha, if I'm not mistaken. He would get married to Rabbanit Letifat Yafet, if I'm not mistaken. And very interesting. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was born in Baghdad and would get married, I think, to the daughter of Salima and Rav Shaul, if I'm not mistaken. And very, very interesting. He was a great rabbi. I think he every day he was going to Shacharit, praying Tefillah at Netzach Hamah, if I'm not mistaken, especially in the Kotel Plaza, in the Kotel area in itself, where the Western Wall. ובסיום התפילה נהג לומר וסכסכתי מצרים במצרים וסככתי סוריה בסוריה וסככתי ירדן בירדן. Naturally, now I think he passed away. It was in the year Heitashin Samach Vav, if I'm not mistaken. That was very interesting. Obviously, he was actually of Iraqi origin. That's something that we have to point out within regards to him. Anyone tuning in live to our channel, to our community, please subscribe to the channel over here. We've got some fantastic, let's say, Torah content in of itself, and we're exploring a great rabbi that actually happened to have come from Jerusalem, a Jerusalem-based rabbi who passed away, I believe, in the last year. We're speaking about him today. So I believe this was the details of his father, Rav Shmuel Darzi. His father was Rav Shmuel Darzi, and this Rav Shmuel Darzi passed away on the 23rd of Kislev. Let's go back to the great rabbi. He was Rabbi Shmuel Darzi. So that's interesting enough. So I believe he was actually born in Jerusalem. Rabbi Yisrael was, and it was, I think, on the 10th of Tammuz. It was, I think his father was a great Kabbalist, Rabbi Shmuel Darzi, if I'm not mistaken. He was a Rosh Yeshiva of Mukubalim Niot Barama in Yerushalayim. And I think we've spoken about this on various occasions before here on this series, and I very much recommend everyone to learn more within regards to that. Now, friends, anyone over here, we already, if you're new over here, new to the channel or new to what we do, we try and explore the history of great rabbis' lives, especially from North African countries, from Ottoman countries in of itself, and how important it is to actually speak about the great rabbanim of yesteryear. There's various articles which I recommend everyone to look at within regards to Rav Shmuel Darzi. If I'm not mistaken, he was close to many of the great rabbis there were in Israel in his point in time. I think there was something quite recently written about him. Well, which is very, very interesting. And I think his father happened to have been Rabbi Yisrael Darzi, as we said before. He was a Talmid, Rabbi Yisrael Darzi, just to go back. So Rabbi Yisrael Darzi, if I'm not mistaken, would be the grandfather of Rabbi Yisrael. He was a Talmid of the famous Rabbi Yehuda Fataya, and I think from Iraq respectively, and Rabbi we spoken about before, he was the master of amulets. And let's just say a few more words with regards to Rav Shmuel Darzi at the point in time, because he was the head of Niyot Barama institution, Kabbalistic institution in himself, Talmud Academy. And we mentioned about how he passed away on the 23rd of Kislev, how all his sons would become great Torah scholars in of itself, and that he would raise great students. And the Yirat Shamayim he had was second to none, was absolutely phenomenal. And he was a rabbi of the Kotel, of the Western Wall. And I think it was when it was liberated in 1967, he would come there straight away to pray the early morning prayers on Netzah Hama, and really was an outstanding, just a standout person there in himself. The Kotel was, he was with the Kotel on the whole time, and numerous stories are actually reported about him. There's mizrach.co.il website, which has, let's just say, chronicled over much within regards to him. He was known as a rabbi that was very careful, especially within regards to kashrut, within regards to shechita, within regards to Shabbat in of itself, and he had phenomenal teachings, phenomenal. I think he was quite close to Rabbi Ephraim HaKohen, who was a great rabbi also. I think he was father of Rabbi Shalom Cohen, who would later on become the head of the Shas political party, if I'm not mistaken. He would learn the Talmud in depth, the entire Talmud Bavli himself, the whole breadth of it. I think he was close to other great rabbis, including the Baba Meir, if I'm not mistaken, and many Ashkenazic rabbis he had closest to also. And there was famous rabbi, Rabbi Salman Hogi Abudi, if I'm not mistaken, who was another great rabbi, I think, who happened to have been also from Baghdad, descendant, and they're very interesting. I think there was a connection within regards to him, and there's numerous stories that are actually told within regards to him, miraculous stories, let's just say, and that just symbolizing the greatness of the famous rabbis. There's actually a lot of pictures available of him on the mizrach.co.il website, especially at the time period where he was at the Western Wall Plaza in the Kotel. I think it was close to, we would meet with Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, who was the chief rabbi of Israel, if I'm not mistaken, and various other rabbis also, which I would recommend everyone to look into. And there's a picture of him actually with Rabbi Ephraim HaKohen, famous Kabbalist, when he was at a younger age, if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Darzi. So that's something that we have to point out. So it would be basically a very, very great rabbinic family. So Rabbi Yisrael, more can be said within regards to that. So I think it was if I'm not mistaken. So I'll state what it says just from the beginning. This was the article that was written at the time when he passed away in March 2025. Hamnuach Zechet Tzadik Libracha Nolad b'Yud Tammuz. He was born on 10th Tammuz Tafshin Yud Chet L'Aviv Hamukubal Rabbi Shmuel Darzi Zechet Tzadik Kadosh Libracha. As was mentioned before, he was Rosh Yeshiva of the Kabbalistic Yeshiva Niyot Barama in Jerusalem. Mohel uMahadir Sidur Kavanah Harashash. Remember, we've spoken about the famous Siddur of the Rosh Hashanah Kadosh, respectively, Rav Shalom Trabi, and Kol Daka Kimuter Lilmud Torah, V'Hamka B'Sudataka, V'Amo Marat Mitzvah Shtachai, respectively. V'Vei Torah Abba Gdolim, Gadal V'Hitchanech, he was an educator also. Haya Gavra Rabba, Nefesh Nakiva Tzaddik, he was known as a great tzaddik, clean in of himself from sin. Ovet Hashem Be'emet, he would work, and every undertaking he would do within regards to the truth, knowing that he was a servant of Hashem. Yirah Shemayim B'Sar Mara Safun Kol Yamav B'Haolah Shel Torah. He was dealing in the Torah tense the whole time. Izdachech V'Yisurim V'Kiblu B'Ahava. Any of the suffering, sadly, he might have to suffer, he would accept with, let's just say, love in of itself. I think he had 13 children, if I'm not mistaken, and many grandchildren and descendants to come. And I think the Levi, the funeral itself, started in Shamgar in Jerusalem. If I'm not mistaken, he was buried in Haram Nokot, Mount of Rest burial plot. When he was buried, he was a very great rabbi of his time. He was, and there's another article over here that's written within regards to Rabbi Yisrael Darzi, and his father, once again, I believe, and they describe him as Mori Rabbi Vafilu Tumuna Achat Mihot Tova. Ainly, this is what the author actually writes over here within regards to him. Just reading over the article. It's we're just reading the article within regards to the great rabbi. Anyone tuning in live at the moment, we are exploring the history of the great rabbi. Torah hanistai it's lo nisted. Hasimcha ba'avodat Hashem hayta geluya. Lifnei ke-5 shanim. This was at time recording, writing the article in 27. So he's referring to around 2002. Acharei shino tikonim v'slichot laila shalem bekever Rachel. He was known to praying also in Kever Rachel, with Rachel burial plot. Rabbi Yisrael Darzi. Lifnei alot hashachar bikesh mishu b'bnei hachabura sheharab yivrech oto b'sof hatikun. That many people come to the great rabbi for blessings, especially after the Netzach Chama prayer, after the sunrise prayer. Harab iriach va'amar she'et kol halimud shel ayla hazeh lo asinu letovat mi ma hanochachim ele hikdusho et kulo leklel am Yisrael. And just reiterating the brilliance of the Negus rabbi, but he passed away, I think, on the 23rd of Kislev, if I'm not mistaken, that was. And it's I think this was back in the year, if I'm not mistaken, maybe around 2005, 2006. But I have to double check on that. Maybe I might be mistaken. And he was really great rabbi at his time. It's something that we have to point out. He was close to many great rabbis in that specific window of time. So it's very important that we learn more within regards to him. I'm not too sure if any books were actually left behind or not, but it was very great rabbi. Anyone tuning in live, we're exploring the history within regards to a really great rabbi who was born in Jerusalem, Rabbi Yisrael Darzi. So if anyone knows, or it maybe descends from him, anyone watching, please let me know. I would love to hear more information. I really appreciate it. And how important it is. I think there's actually an office of Rabbi Yisrael Darzi, and there's various other articles with regards to Rabbi Yisrael Darzi, which I also have to point out. I think also in the mizrach.co.il website, and I think the core.co.il website will also speak about him. I think sadly at the time period when he had passed away, if I'm not mistaken. But much can be spoken about and written about also, which I recommend everyone to look into. Now, friends, we're a community here. We're exploring the life of great rabbis. Yes, sir. Yeah. Now, if you descend from any of the famous rabbis we happen to be speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. We're speaking about famous Kabbalists from a Kabbalistic family in of itself over here. So that's something that I'll definitely have to point out. And I would definitely recommend everyone to learn more information within regards to his father, Rabbi Yisrael Darzi, who was a great rabbi of his time, and one of the great Talmidim he happens to have been of Rabbi Ephraim Cohen and Rabbi Yehuda Tai, from a great, let's say, line of Iraqi rabbis. And remember, Iraq would be known to have some of the rabbis of the great Kabbalists of his time. And the Iraqi, let's say, immigrant camps in Israel itself, including Atlit, Pardes Hana, Karkur, Mabarat, Talpiot, and Kiryat Yovel. And many people will actually come to move to those places. And especially in Pardes Katz in Ramla or Yehuda, Ramat Gan, there was established communities already over there with many people. I think there's other great rabbis also. I think there was printing of books at that point in time, especially with Ben Ishchai and Zivchei Tzedek of Rav Abdullah Samech and Rav and Ben Ishchai also respectively. And what's interesting about Rav Shmuel Darzi, he would actually establish various different associations, I think including Yusadei HaTorah Association, and was really, really into many of the workings within regards to Kotel. Also, that's something that we have to point out. And he was Rosh Yeshiva also. So many interesting facts within regards to him. Now, friends, we over here are a community here. We're learning about famous rabbis yesteryear. Now, I believe if you descend from any of the great rabbis we happen to be speaking about, don't hesitate. Please send me an email now. I would love to hear more information about the great rabbis, and I will really, really appreciate it. Now, if you feel anyone's interested in watching any of these videos, friends, please share these videos also to other people also and join our community. We've already recorded about a staggering 1,400 rabbis already in the series, which is a phenomenal achievement, something that I have to point out over here. And we're going from strength to strength, doing a lot of trying to as much Torah content as possible. So we really, really appreciate it and cherish it also. Something that I will definitely point out over here. We don't just record videos about great rabbis of yesteryear. A project we've been working on recently has been recording videos with regards to the various different countries across the globe. What were they like? What was Jewish community likes in all these different places, and really trying to dig deep in and get an understanding within regards to the great Torah-ness and so on and so forth within regards to that. So that's something that I definitely very much have to speak about at the moment. We do tours, we travel, and we explore, and really, really do see great parts of Eretz Yisrael. So that's something else that I have to point out over here. And if you've got any feedback also, I'd really, really appreciate it. It's like anything that you could tell us. And as we hopefully will record more videos also in the coming week. We usually like to record the video at the time period of the Hilula, but since that it was the other great Rabbi Darzi's Hilula that is just on this specific period in of itself, so we thought we would some opportune time to speak about Rabbi Yisrael Darzi. It was very, very quick about this time, but Rabbi Shmuel also was very, very famous. So yeah, friends, as I said before, we are a community here. We're learning about great rabbis of yesteryear. We're doing a lot of content. We're going to hopefully upload a video also on the weekly Torah portion. That's another ambition of ours, hopefully to do it in the next coming hours. So watch your space within regards to that, hopefully. And there's so much more content that we've got available for you to inform, to educate, and to get a better breadth within regards to the great Jewish communities that, thank God, that we all come from. So welcome to our community. Welcome over here. And please watch more videos and stay tuned for more fantastic content, friends. So I think on this note, we actually happen to be on the third night of Hanukkah at the moment, the Jewish festival. So it's a festival of lights. That's something that we have to point out. Hopefully, a festival full of blessings for all of our Israel all over the world. So I think on that note, we're going to call it tonight. Wish you all well, and I appreciate it. And Hanukkah Sameach. Thank you very much.